So here we are again, being, for lack of a better way of saying it, attacked. The fans are attacked. Doctor Who and everybody involved is attacking the fans, the people who made the show happen in the first place. And I have to tell you, getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. You have Russell T. Davies making it plain that with all the Disney bucks, he can push forward an agenda. The problem is there are very few people that are interested in that. Very few. And if you look at the niche audience that is Doctor Who, how many do you think that's a part of that audience really want the insertion of some of this stuff that's in it? I mean, look, like what you like, love what you love, but when it comes to this stuff, it's definitely not anywhere close to a majority opinion, and that's only bringing the show down. So when that's the case, and your only option is to attack the fans, it gets rather tiresome. Let's jump into the story. Of course, Doctor Who showrunner Russell T. Davies is saying that it's his job to let other identifying people and queer stories through. This is not my normal conversation. Story dropped today over on That Park Place, and there's another one we'll get to from Bounding into Comics. And they both write great articles, and they both have a point. And I have to say, I'm getting tired of what's behind all of this. Certainly not tired of the outlets. So Doctor Who showrunner says all these things, right? But here's the problem. I don't think the audience wants it. So you look at some really rough ratings. And if this is a direct quote from your showrunner, who spoke with Deadline ahead of the first 2 episodes that just came out on Disney+, he informed the outlet that he was now part of the first wave of injecting things into television. I know I was part of a rising tide of, gay, lesbian, and other writers, all of us contributing to soaps and chipping into primetime dramas. Chipping in, you were inserting a lot of things into those. All of us slowly and then rapidly enjoyed increasing visibility for queer characters on screen. And I'm lucky that I was one that burst through and got that on screen. I think he's talking about the show Queer as Folk. So he goes on and talks about basically his whole identity becoming just that, and his whole personality becoming just that, and all of his ability becoming just that. Because when he came in to showrun Doctor Who, not all that long ago, he kind of rejuvenated it, and there wasn't a whole lot, if any, of the stuff inserted in there. There certainly wasn't any of that in the original series. So I'm not sure that the fans weren't going to get whiplash and, take a dim view of the massive changes that they were about to see. And now that he's back, those changes have turned off the audience in the form of ratings. So, as we look at the variety aspect of this particular piece, you can see that Elise Schaefer, excuse me if that mispronounces your name, there's this criticism that Doctor Who is a show that appeals to children, and that a queer actor playing the Doctor will reach more kids than ever with its new home on Disney+, which is a disturbing idea. And here's where she leans into their thing, homophobes. No, they just don't want that type of thing being inserted into a child's life that early. Understand? There are families who don't talk about any of these things until the kids are well developed and into their puberty cycle. So, Davies sees a way that the show's wider reach is an opportunity to indoctrinate them. He says it differently, saying open people's minds, but that's what he's talking about. He says, I think if you're 6 years old, you don't care. Not at all. But nonetheless, as the world darkens, yes, because of you, and I do think that the world darkening around queer rights, no. I think that there's, that you've just stepped across a threshold that most people are not excited about, because the next thing is, well, preying on kids. He's trying to talk about identity and people not being allowed to be who they are. Yeah. If that younger audience is feeling so much, I wanted the Doctor to feel it on screen as well. By the way, this is the Maestro, played by Jinx Monsoon. If you haven't seen my other video about this, this is well, an admitted drag queen. Anyway. So, again, they go after it, and he's very excited about, one of the glorious things about TikTok is that they can all dance and show themselves having enormous fun in their bedrooms. Of course, I'm not going to say it. This is very poorly worded. Anyway, regardless, the Christmas special viewership hit 4.7 million in overnight numbers. Right now, the 2 episodes in their overnight numbers that just released, the first of Gatwa's actual seasons, was a decline of 45% for Space Babies and just shy of a 49% for The Devil's Cord, which is what this person was in. The 2 episodes are currently the worst viewed episodes in Doctor Who history. The previous worst was the 89's Battlefield Part 1, which brought in 3.1 million viewers. Of course, you could make an argument that when the original show came out in 63, there were much lower numbers, but that's not entirely the point, because we need to talk about getting attacked right here. Star Ncuti Gatwa pushes disingenuous narrative that critics of this latest series are racist. Racist. It's just really sad for them. That's not why they don't like you, Ncuti. According to current series lead Ncuti Gatwa, those fans who found themselves just walking away from the last season of Doctor Who have done so not because they have no interest in showrunner Russell T Davies' self-admitted decision to trade in genuine storytelling for ham-fisted progressive messaging. I would just say indoctrination at this point, but I think, Spencer, did you write this? Yeah. Spencer, get harder in the paint on that, buddy. But because they are outright racists who cannot see a non-white individual portray the titular hero. I don't think that's all that they object to. I don't even think that's a little bit of what they object to. In fact, that's probably none of what they object to. The latest actor to portray the Time Lord offered his take on the Doctor Who's failing reputation. He's talking to NPR. Wow. Extreme alt-leftist views talking to extreme alt-leftist outlet who got rid of one of the only thoughtful people left in their organization. And they definitely don't have any diversity of thought there, which means they're basically now all propaganda at the NPR. Anyway. So he talked about his new incarnation as the Doctor, saying, "It's about time. The character is a shape-shifting alien. It can be anyone." Well, I'm not sure that anybody's going to say that being black is the primary problem, or even a problem at all. So for there to only have been one representation of the character, I think it's quite limiting. Well, no, it speaks to the broadest possible audience in your country. From there, Deegan would turn to press Gatwa on his thoughts on the mountains of criticism fans have leveled towards Davies' aforementioned decision to focus on the series' narrative on overt socio-political messaging. There you go, Spencer. There you go, buddy. And yeah, it's a good question. However, instead of earnestly actually engaging with the substance of this very specific and widespread complaint, Gatwa instead moved to paint those fans who have turned out of Doctor Who as nothing more than anti-black racists. This is how monomaniacal and narcissistic and indoctrinated these types of people are. Anybody that's on the extreme leftist side of things that essentially is civilization destroying, this is how they think. Yeah, he says, I don't want to diminish the racial aggression at all, but for me personally, I find it fascinating that that it matters so much to people. That's not what they're talking about, numbskull. You're going to limit yourselves from a show that you love. They don't love it anymore because you don't like something about someone's appearance. It's not even that. It's the portrayal of the character. Admittedly, there undoubtedly exists some former Doctor Who fans out there who have chosen to abandon the series for genuinely racist reasons. I don't doubt that, but I imagine it's not very many people. What, like 20, 100? It's not very many. But, and this is where you get it right, Spencer, to promote the infinitesimally small subsection of viewers as representative of the series critics as a whole is, to say the least, both disingenuous and ostensibly only being done in order to give the show's production team a false premise upon which to dismiss any and all complaints toward its narrative direction, which is the thing that everybody should be paying attention to. So the third episode is coming up on May 18th. I imagine that will track rather badly despite Moffat's return. And the episode is named quite aptly. It's called Bomb. And right now, that's what the show is doing. I'm very interested in your thoughts, friends. If you wouldn't mind, give me a comment down below on what you think about this new Doctor Who, and whether or not you think it's okay to, again, attack fans for what a few, very few, precious few, tiny few, small percentage of people that could be, quote-unquote, racist, and what the larger complaint would be about the show and its lack of storytelling and abandoning the 3-act structure that actually comprises modern storytelling and actually putting story in your storytelling, I think. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And while you're down there, hit the like button. And if you notice, as some of the 60% of people may, that you're not subscribed to the channel, turn the little red subscribe button to gray, because it'll help me get to 25K, which is my goal. Okay? Anyway, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya.